So I put this video up the other day showing a couple photos of old school bodybuilders with their clothes on, wearing just normal clothes or suits. And it was to show people that you can be big and impressive even with your clothes on, even as a natural. You don't need steroids to look big in clothes. Now, I got a comment on this video, which I thought was just the absolute perfect example of steroid-induced body dysmorphia. I mean, you couldn't write it any better. I think if you take some medical textbook with the definition of body dysmorphia, they should put the screenshot of this guy's comment on there. So I'm going to read this to you, and then we'll go through it point by point, and I'll give you my thoughts, okay? Bro, I am 220 pounds at 11% body fat at 5'9". Not natural, only on low dose test. Objectively, bigger than all these guys by any metric, and I look tiny in clothes. One single flattering photo doesn't mean you don't look small in day-to-day life. Also, there is no prize at the end of the day for being natty, only a smaller coffin. Now, I replied to this guy, and I know that my reply has absolutely no bearing on the way this guy thinks or lives his life, but I thought I would reply anyway with the best of intentions, and, maybe someone else will read the comment and, see my reply. So I said, I hope you can overcome your body dysmorphia before you do further harm to your health. Good luck. So I really did say this with the best of intentions, even though I knew it was futile. Anyway, that was my honest reply to him. He comes back with, just because you are smaller doesn't mean it's dysmorphia, LOL. Also, low-dose test has only health benefits and zero health detriments. Stay small, hashtag tiny coffin crew. And then he says, also, as an additional point, look at Eric Bugenhagen in the thumbnail of Juji Mufu's Eric Bugenhagen drinks more coffee than you. The man is at the absolute natty limit, so much so that many accused him of fake natty at that time, and he literally looked like he has never even touched a weight because he is wearing a t-shirt. There is no way around biology. Humans aren't meant to look jacked without super physiological amounts of anabolic hormones. Okay, so that's this guy's comments. Now, taking it from the beginning, he's saying he's 220 pounds at 11% body fat at 5'9". So if those numbers are true, if he actually weighs that much and he's actually lean, then yes, this guy is bigger than anyone I've covered on the channel, and he's bigger than pretty much any natural lifter on planet Earth in terms of just muscle mass, right? And he says he's objectively bigger than all of these guys by any metric. Yes, he is, if those measurements are correct. And he says that he looks tiny in clothes, okay? So this guy, who is objectively bigger than almost any natural lifter on the planet, he thinks that he looks tiny in clothes. Do you think that when other people look at a 220-pound lean man in clothes, that he looks tiny? Do you think there is anyone in the world who is not brainwashed by steroids and professional bodybuilding who would look at a 220-pound lean man and think that he looks tiny? I mean, you literally have a mental disorder. Body dysmorphia is a mental disorder. And if you think that being 220 lean, walking around in clothes, people are looking at you and thinking, oh, this guy looks tiny, there is literally something wrong with your brain, and it is caused, I am absolutely certain, by steroids, by your steroid use, by other people's steroid use and their normalization of steroid use in society, by social media, by comparing yourself to other people that you see on the internet, and by professional bodybuilding, and by comparing yourself to professional bodybuilders. That's this guy's problem. All of these factors have given him body dysmorphia, and he doesn't even realize it. He says, one single flattering photo doesn't mean you don't look small in day-to-day life, right? So again, look at the photos of these old school bodybuilders. Are you really going to tell me that there are people who can look at these photos or who would see these people in real life? Because I promise you, in real life, they would look even more impressive than these photos. You think there is anyone who would lay eyes on these people and say that they look small? Guys, I not to toot my own horn here, I weigh 190 pounds, okay? I weigh 30 pounds less than this guy. I do not look small when I walk around outside, okay? When I go outside on the street, I'm not like, oh my God, I feel so small. What are people gonna think of me when they see me? I'm so tiny, okay? I have not even been training that long. I am not that big, but you know, I walk around, I can walk around with confidence, and I know that I don't feel small. I don't feel small and I don't look small, okay? The average population is somewhere between this and this, right? They're either skinny fat or obese. That's what normal people look like, okay? So everyone is carrying the weight in their gut, okay? Now, if you have some muscle on your chest, you have some muscle on your arms, on your back, on your legs, and you're walking around outside, people are not gonna think you look small. Especially if you're on steroids like this guy and you're 220 pounds, they're not going to think you're small, okay? This is actually a mental disorder that you have if you think that you're small, okay? But going on, there is no prize at the end for being natty, only a smaller coffin, okay? I mean, this is the most smooth brain argument for taking steroids that you could possibly come up with. I mean, if you wanted to come up with a stupider argument for using steroids, you could not come up with one. Like, really? Okay, give me my extra small coffin, which I'll crawl into when I'm 100 years old and I lived a long, happy life and I watch my grandchildren grow up. And then you can die when you're 40 in your extra large coffin. Yeah, you're the winner, okay? I mean, it just blows my mind that people actually say this shit. Okay, so then he says, just because I'm smaller doesn't mean it's dysmorphia. So somehow me being smaller than a guy who's using steroids, which, by the way, he says he's only on a low dose of test. Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts with this sort of mentality, right? If you think you're tiny and you're already down the rabbit hole of taking steroids and thinking that steroids are not a big deal, then you don't think you're just going to be taking more and more and more and more and trying to push the limit to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, how do you think all these professional bodybuilders got started? They got started on lower doses and then just kept increasing it and increasing it and increasing it to get bigger and bigger and bigger, because in their minds they thought they were tiny. They look in the mirror and they see someone who's small because they have body dysmorphia, just like this guy, right? So he's saying he doesn't have body dysmorphia. I'm just smaller than him. And it makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. So then he says that low dose test has only health benefits and zero health detriments. Okay, bro. Okay, yeah. Taking a little bit of steroids is okay. Yeah, fine. Again, I've discussed this before. If you are taking steroids in any capacity and it was not prescribed to you by a doctor and you're not using it exactly as that doctor told you to take it, you are abusing steroids and it's dangerous to your health. You can't just think that you can use these drugs and in whatever way you see fit and that it's not going to damage your health and that it's, in fact, it's healthy and there's zero downside to it. I mean, what sort of people are putting out this kind of information to have people going around thinking that this is like reality, that you can just take a little bit of steroids and it's all good? Like, would people think this way with any other drug? Like, do people say, oh, I just take a little bit of meth, it's all good, you know? I just shoot up a little bit of heroin, guys, just a little bit, you know? If I just use a little bit, so it's fine. No health detriment whatsoever. It's healthy, guys. If you don't use a little bit of heroin, you're actually missing out on the health benefits. Like, absolutely ridiculous argument, guys. Ridiculous argument. And then stay small, hashtag tiny coffin crew. Again, I mean, this is a mental disorder, okay? I hope this guy finds help. I know that this video will do nothing to change this guy's mind, and he probably thinks I'm the crazy one, but I hope to put this out there to, you know, maybe help some other people who are thinking about getting on steroids. Just know that this is what it's going to do to your brain, guys. You start using steroids, you start going down that rabbit hole, this is what you're going to end up like. This guy right here. This is how your thought process is going to evolve. Okay, and then the thumbnail of Bugenhagen. Okay, so I'll put the thumbnail up here, right? You can take a look. Now, to me, this is a shitty thumbnail. Obviously, this isn't trying to make Bugenhagen look as good as possible. Even then, I do not think he looks like he's never touched a weight in his life. I mean, again, you have to have a absolutely skewed view of reality to think that this is what a person who has never touched a weight in their life looks like. You know what a person who's never touched a weight in their life looks like? They look like this or like this, right? This is what actual real life people who have never touched a weight looks like. Even in this thumbnail, Bugenhagen, to me, he looks strong. And if I were to see him on the street, I'm sure he would look much more impressive than he does in that thumbnail. And in fact, I scrolled through the video a little bit, and I'll put up a couple screenshots from the video so you can see him in some different angles. And the guy clearly looks like he lifts. You know, if he's natural or not natural, I don't know. Clearly, in this video, Bugenhagen looks jacked and he looks like he lifts. Anyone can look at that and see this. Anyone who doesn't have body dysmorphia, anyone whose brain hasn't been corrupted by PEDs, social media, and professional bodybuilding, right? He says, there is no way around biology. Humans aren't meant to look jacked without supraphysiological amounts of anabolic hormones. I mean, how can anyone possibly have this sort of mentality, guys? It's horrendous. And there are actually people on YouTube that have decent followings that talk about this stuff. And I'm going to make another follow-up video to this, you know, sort of exposing these people who are promoting PEDs with this sort of message. I mean, it's ridiculous, guys. My entire main channel is dedicated to showing that you can, in fact, build an amazing, impressive, large, jacked physique naturally. It is 100% possible. The only thing that's not possible is to look like Ronnie Coleman or Chris Bumstead or any of the other professional bodybuilders. You will not look like them. And if that is your gauge, if that is what you're comparing yourself to, if you think that's jacked and anything smaller than that is tiny, then of course everyone in the world is tiny. But that is not reality. Go outside, walk on the street, take a look at people. If you're going to compare yourself to someone, compare yourself to yourself, not to professional bodybuilders or to people on social media. Comparing yourself to yourself, you are always improving, and comparing yourself to the people you see on the street, I guarantee you will look better than 99% of them if you dedicate yourself to lifting for even just a year. And if you lift for several years naturally, eat well, you will be an absolute phenom for the general population. So guys, get your head out of the sand. Social media is not real life. Professional bodybuilding is not real life. Don't take steroids, and please don't get this kind of mentality where you just develop body dysmorphia, okay? Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.